All right, all right, all right.
Hey there, guys. I'm Bobby.
I'm Stephy Steph.
And we are Between Two Teeth. Now, we have people beside the teeth today. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
I'm Katie Stuchlik, general dentist in Houston, Texas. Very involved in organized dentistry.
Yes, and you actually just won an award, the Rising Star
That's
Award.
right.
Rising Star.
Rising Star, there we go.
Very cool.
And then on our other side,
I am Dr. Arnelle Wright, and I'm socially known as the Daily Dentist, and I'm super, super excited to be here.
And she's our official ADA correspondent
Yes.
for SmileCon.
Yes.
and with the Dental Soundbite podcast.
Award-winning
You guys just won like a
podcast.
big award that I was able to see.
We did.
And Steffi Steph is
Shout out.
you're a 10 under 10 winner this year.
Yes.
I
Yes.
haven't won an award in years and years and years. I got to pick up the pace. Listen, let's get right into it. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Thank you for those of you out there joining us. I'm losing my voice based off of Universal Studios last night, which was awesome.
Right.
That was phenomenal.
We are at
that was
ADA
really fun.
SmileCon 2023. Let's talk about balance.
Oh yeah, good topic.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
talk about that a lot. Oh, thank
Man,
you. Thank you.
You know, I might, Katie, do you have any, when we talk about balance, I know we've been talking in general about kind of what it's like to balance being a parent, running a practice, being a dentist. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, I have a 3-year-old. She's pretty crazy, and it's been a wild ride having a pandemic baby. I think the biggest thing that I wanted to point out is we make a big emphasis on mommy dentists, but I think it needs to be about parent dentists. I think we need to support the fathers and the mothers going through this because, you know, nothing's going to change in America with the mom being the default parent if we only talk about the mom. We need to support the dads too.
I love that point because we're emphasizing the role that both parents have to play and just kind of, we're both contributing.
Yeah.
kind
Yeah,
of
that's
thing.
how you get balance, is
And
having
Yes.
that supportive spouse.
I
Oh my
love
God,
that
I
you
love that.
talk about that. Even the conversation we had with Constance Wu yesterday on stage, everyone has to be involved in key conversations. Everyone needs to hear the message there for sure. So, Arnelle, let's talk about balance from your perspective.
Yeah, it's pretty much everything you guys have already said. I really appreciate and I value putting balance into my life, like working my schedule appropriately and finding out or just figuring out within myself when I have loaded myself up a little bit too much.
So, what do you do when you load yourself up too much?
I take a
I just
step back.
Keep going.
Yeah.
I keep going. I say no, more.
This is true, but I do try to bring things to completion. So I think for me, the thing that stresses me out is when I don't finish things. So I am more overwhelmed if I don't think that I can bring a project to completion
that.
and do it well, as opposed to not doing anything at all, if that makes sense.
Oh my gosh.
Because
that
like
makes
word is
so
bond for
much
me,
sense.
yeah. So
I
It
mean-
is. You want to fulfill your commitments.
Yeah.
What do you do for balance?
Well, on what Arnelle's saying, and Katie, I don't know if you feel the same way here, but I always feel like I'm so keen on starting something or
Yes.
starting a million things, but
Yeah.
like you're saying, knowing when to say no, knowing when to
Yes.
pull back and say, hey, I got to put the oxygen on myself, and I want to finish the things that I start.
Yep.
Yes, that's definitely
That's a
something
great
I'm
point.
learning.
So, what are the warning
Likewise.
signs that you guys find in yourself? Is it just
I mean, lack of sleep, feeling like you need to be having coffee too much, barking
at
at
my
your
3-year-old.
partner, listen, like not working out, eating unhealthy, the list goes on, not drinking
God.
water.
that sounds like everything I've done this week?
Yeah, exactly, I know.
You can do that for a couple days.
You know,
Right.
you mentioned the coffee. We were riding some roller coasters last night at Universal Studio, and there was a minute where I was saying, I may not need to drink so much coffee because these things
Yeah.
are really causing some stress.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think you have to know when to quit. I know,
Yeah.
Steffi Steph, you and I talk about this a bunch as far as when to stick, when to quit on certain things.
I love that. And one of the things, so Constance Wu was our keynote speaker at opening session. And one of the things during our interview that I love that she mentioned was trying to find ways to have that internal affirmation. You
Yes.
telling yourself, hey, I'm good enough, I'm enough, because I think that's where the conversation has to start when we start to talk about balance. Because everybody else, all these external factors, are going to try to pull you in all these different directions.
Right.
Katie, what do you have any comments on that?
I think whenever we were talking about this earlier and just like kind of doubting yourself sometimes, but then being able to pull yourself up by surrounding yourself around the right people is really how I handle that.
Oh my gosh, phenomenal. Absolutely the
Self-doubt
right
is
people.
tricky. What we heard from Constance Wu yesterday was comments can either make or break you.
This is true.
Comments from a friend, comments from an acquaintance,
Right.
lifting people up versus tearing them down.
And we mentioned, Bob, you're mentioning people. Katie, you just mentioned having the right people around you. I think that's the point, right? You know, we talk about
So how
the
do you make
influence.
that happen? Are you intentional? Like, are you intentional about really trying to get the right people around you?
For me, where I'm at my stage in my career, I'm just a yes person. I'm like, oh, hey, I'm right here. I'm right here. Oh, you need this. I'm your gal. But I think where we want to get to is being a little bit more selective about, hey, these people bring me energy, and these people are taking energy away from me, and figuring out the nuance there. Arnelle, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, actually, to the point of comments making or breaking you, can I return to that
Yeah,
real
for
quick?
sure.
No,
So one
not
of the
at
things, one of the things that I do as it relates to social media, I think this is a really, really good point with all the things that we're doing right now, is sometimes I do not look at comments, and this is totally opposite. I know. So if you're trying to build your brand, this is totally opposite of what they teach us. You know what I mean? So for me, sometimes the way that I protect my mindset is not by not looking at the comments. Sometimes I'm not looking at people's profiles because I don't want to fall into the comparison trap. And so it seems like I'm being selfish, but I'm really being protective of my mental health.
Wow, that is very well said.
We gave a continuing education course yesterday here on how to start a podcast, and we told people don't obsess about likes, don't obsess about the number of followers.
Yes.
Now, Bobby,
and you
how do
will
you do
obsess.
with that?
No, I do terrible.
How do you do with that?
Well, I mean, the thing is you have to look at the numbers. Like, so
Right.
numbers is important. So data is king, right?
Right.
Like, we know that.
Analytics, you can look at drop-off rate.
Yes.
At, 5
So
seconds
you have to look at the
in.
numbers, or maybe you can have someone to look at it for you.
Or just put a message out. You're like, and for the people that were in our course yesterday, they all just had a message that they felt strongly about.
And to interject, we had a course on podcasting and how to start podcasting to those of you that were not
Yes,
up to
yes,
speed
I
on the
deliberately,
course.
yes, okay. And they had a message and they wanted to get it out, and we're like, hey, it's not going to be perfect. We are almost as far from perfect as one can get.
And absolutely on that. And as we kind of wrap up, Katie, can you talk to us a little bit about kind of learning from doing things well versus learning from when times we haven't really done things quite as well?
Oh gosh, I feel like in my practice life, that's where you get it the most. And I think it's just trial by error. We all have had that before, and you learn from all of your mistakes and learn when to shift and make big changes. And I feel like the pandemic was a really good opportunity to kind of focus on what needs to change in your life in general.
Oh my gosh,
Very
yeah,
true.
the pandemic was almost like a big reset button.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Did you reset?
I did. Oh my gosh. So I had
I'm gonna
just
use
given
this
birth.
fan as well.
Oh yeah,
This
that's
is awesome.
fine. Go right
Satin
ahead.
does not
And,
breathe
and
at
as
all.
I was gonna say, yeah, so we had a big reset.
Yeah, so I had just given birth to my second son during the pandemic, well, prior to, and then I got to stay home with him 3 additional months. So talk about a reset. I was able to connect with my family, my older son, my husband. It was phenomenal for me, you know?
I love that. That's really good on connection. So,
But can I say something on that?
please, yeah,
you
go
know,
for it.
It's nice to be surrounded by a group like that. And I think one of the challenges that we hear about is there's a lot of people feeling isolation.
Yeah.
I just listened to a podcast from the former Surgeon General talking about 50% of Americans have significant loneliness. That is tough.
I can believe that.
And we
Yeah,
try,
isolation's
our
so tough.
motto is connect, discover, inspire. We struggle at times to try to figure out how to connect best with others.
oh, well said.
I think you guys do a great job. You're connecting
Yeah.
well.
Oh, thank
Well,
you.
hey,
with one another
well,
too. Like,
I
for-
appreciate it, guys. Any last comments as we kind of wrap up? This is a shorter session today, and we so appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Y'all are rock stars.
You
Thank you
guys-
so
and
much for being here.
we love having you guys on here today.
Well, and we've got like one more minute. I want to ask them one last.
Okay, we're
do
at
you
11:10.
feel? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you feel pressure to just keep doing stuff?
No, so for me, I get an adrenaline rush and I actually enjoy it. So if I did not enjoy it, then it would be completely overwhelming for me. So I think leaning in and knowing yourself, knowing what you're good at, what you enjoy, trusting your gut,
Wow.
those are all the things that kind of guide me. So I don't feel pressured to do
Okay.
anything.
That's
Arnelle, I love that messaging.
Do you feel pressure, Katie?
Not necessarily. I actually was going to point out that whenever I follow Arnelle on Instagram and see her stories, I'm like, wow, there's somebody out there that's like just as busy as I am and doing a lot of the same things, and it makes me feel good that I'm not the only one that has a hard time saying no.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, you don't. You're not alone, girl.
I love that we're
You're
talking
not
about
alone.
enjoying what we're busy with, because if you don't be careful, life will fill up with
Yes.
the busyness,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you may not like what you're busy with.
Yes, this
So-
is true.
So make sure whenever you're saying yes to something that it is start to be something that you really truly enjoy.
Yep.
Anything else you guys got?
Yeah. Don't
Yeah.
compare. Comparison
Yes.
is the thief
Oh,
of
good.
that
Oh,
joy.
yes. Don't compare.
know?
Don't compare. Don't
Comparison
compare.
for
Don't
sure.
compare. Don't compare.
Yeah.
If I
Well-
say that enough,
I've got to give a shout out to our audience. Thank you
Yes,
guys.
thank you guys
Awesome.
for being here.
Appreciate
You guys are
being
awesome.
here. I see
Well,
a lot
thanks
of
again
friendly
for
faces.
joining us.
Thank
I know
you.
both
Thank
of
you,
you
both of
talking
you
about
guys.
busyness. You're busy, so thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
For the guests out there, we have another guest who's going to be coming on.
We'll
so
keep
hold your seats.
rolling
We have
around,
a
and then
special.
Bobby, I'm going to have you scooch
She's
on.
coming on up.
Scooch on over there.
All right.
And we're going to put her in the middle.
All right. So I'm going to move this chair here. You